Hello. Let's get lit with Miss Shed in reading. All right, class. We're going to be identifying and reviewing plot structure. Remember, we've been learning about plot elements in a story and plot structure. What happens in the beginning, what happens in the middle, and what happens in the end. And of course, we expanded the BME, the beginning, middle, and end, and we talked about the beginning, which is the exposition, which talks about the setting, the characters, the beginning of the story. And of course, we discussed the rising action, all the events that the character goes through, the protagonist goes through, the rising action until we reach the climax. And the climax is like the exciting part of the story, like the main event, the main thing that either is going to decide whether it's going to be a good ending, a sad ending, a bad ending, or a solution to a problem. So once we come from the climax, like the roller coaster I showed you in the last class, by the way, you go now down to the falling action, all the events that happen that concludes the story. And then the resolution. The resolution is the ending of the story. Well, we have a story we have to put in order from exposition all the way to the ending, the resolution. So we're going to read the red boxes, which is the story, and then we're going to match up all of the plot structure definitions with the story, the part of the story that it represents. Now, in the blue, we got characters, we got plot, we got climax, we have ending, we have beginning, and then we have setting. Now, all the words in red is the story, but we got to match it up to the character, to the plot, climax, ending, beginning, or setting. Let's start with the first one, shall we? Now, the first one says a castle on the edge of the world. Now, where would this take place in the story? Are we talking about a character? No, it's not talking about a person, place, or thing. Climax, is this the main part of the story? It's talking about a castle, right? At the edge of the world. Plot? Is that the plot? Is that telling me what happened in the story? Let's try another one. Ending. How about ending? Is that the end of the story? A castle on the edge of the world? How about the beginning? And remember, if you remember the beginning tells us the setting, who is in the story, the characters, and the problem. So, beginning is castle. What is a castle? Is that a character setting? Is that, what's going to happen? Yes, it's the beginning. So, we're going to match up Castle on the Edge of the World with the beginning of a story. Yes, it's talking about the setting, which is a castle, right? All right, let's go to the next one. The knight burst into the castle and battled fiercely with an enormous dragon. The enormous dragon. He burst into the castle and was fighting the enormous dragon. Now, what part of the plot structure would this be part of? Is this the beginning? Is this the end? Are they talking about a setting? Yes, it's in the castle, but there are some characters happening in the castle, right? There's a knight fighting a dragon. And then characters is talking about characters and enormous dragon, but is it just talking about characters? Or is it talking about what's happening in the story? Right. So we're down to two. Are they talking about the plot or the climax? Plot is what the whole story is all about. A summary. The whole enchilada, the whole story in one, paragraph or so, a synopsis. Is it a synopsis? Is it talking about the whole story or part of the story? Climax. Now, climax, remember, it's like the main event, the main part of the story, the exciting part of the story. Now, you think it's a climax? Let's check that out. Let's see if that's correct. Yes, that is correct. Good job. Now we have three more. Now we're gonna talk the one at the top. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess who was trapped in a castle on the edge of the world. Hmm. Once upon a time. That's interesting. Now, this kind of tell me like the beginning of the story. Is it telling me about a beautiful princess that was trapped in the castle? Sounds like Rapunzel, right? Now, is that a character? Yeah, we're talking about a princess. Are we talking about the setting? This is in the castle. Would this be the beginning of the story? Are they talking about the characters, the setting, and the protagonist in the story? Hmm. I want to think about that. Is this the end? Do we start stories with Once Upon a Time? Or do we start stories in the beginning, Once Upon a Time, like a fairy tale? Yes, let's see. Beginning and beginning. Voila. All right, now we're down to 4 left. Now we have the characters. Now we're going to go to the next red one here. The princess is trapped. A knight comes to save her and battles the dragon. The knight wins and takes the princess back to his kingdom. Oh, so remember in the beginning, the princess was in a castle, and then the knight had to fight the dragon. So, what part of the plot structure would this be part of? Would this be the characters? We have a knight and princess. Would this be the plot? Would this be the ending? Or would this be the setting? Some of you all said ending. Sounds like the ending. Let's see if you're correct. Oh, it's not the ending. Let's try another one. Now, it's either the characters, setting, or the plot. Characters. They're talking about the characters, but they're talking about what's happening in the characters, right? Right? Setting. Is it just talking about the setting? Is it just talking about the characters? So what's left? The plot. Let's see. Yes, it told us the whole story, all in one paragraph. All right. Now, the last two is Knight, Princess, and Dragon. Are those characters? Is that the ending of the story? Or is that the setting? You're right. Those are the characters. Let's see if you are correct. Character. Right. All right. Get lit with Michelle. You're doing real good. Awesome. Now we have two more, and then we are done. All right. Now we have the last one at the top. We're going to read that one. A castle on the edge of the world. Is that talking about the end of the story? Let's try setting. Setting is where, the story takes place. Is it talking about the place? Is it talking about the end? All right. You're saying ending? Is that the end of the story? Oh, yes. It's talking about a castle, a place, a city. Let's see if you all are correct. Yes. And of course, the last one, but not least. The handsome knight rescued the princess and took her back to his kingdom. That is the ending of the wonderful story. Happy endings. I like those, don't you? Yes, I do. I don't like sad endings. Well, sometimes it's sad, but I really like happy endings, good endings. Endings where the problem was solved. Well done. You got them all correct.